My father lost me to the beast at cards.
Just again, it's all going glazing. You were mine, you made me love it and begin again. You made me love it and begin again. You made me love it and begin again.
Hello, sinners. My name is Alice Stan, and welcome to Alice's Shelf, The Bloody Chamber. Okay, y'all, this is the third short story of this collection, and it starts with that quote, "My father lost me to the beast at cards." So we're already dehumanizing our protagonist, right? Okay, but let's go back a little. This is a take on Beauty and the Beast, so it's our second take on Beauty and the Beast since last month we talked about the courtship of Mr. Leon. And remember, we had a lion for the beast, and now we have a tiger. So, two different animals. And it's funny because at the end of this, we'll get to the wolves in her takes on Little Red Riding Hood. But let's focus on the beast. This girl has just left the cold north with her father, probably Russian. And she says that at home they are in war with nature, but here, oh, you'd think everything's great. But you just think. Because once you get to the city, you have to play a game of cards with the beast, La Bestia. And it always wins. And it's interesting because it says that once you get to the south, you always want luxury, more luxury. But the snow comes and you can't escape it. So we can think of that in a more general way of like when happiness comes, when the thrill comes, like even when people do heroin, for example, it comes and you want more. But the snow always comes. There's always a downfall. That was a stretch. So back to the story. Our first scene is the girl watching her father play cards with the beast and lose everything. And she says, "I watch with the furious cynicism peculiar to women whom circumstances force mutually to witness folly." So, as a woman, she saw her father destroy himself and she had to be quiet about it. The beast was covered, its whole body completely covered, gloves, a mask, and the only thing she could see was the beast's yellow eyes. And one of the servants bring a letter from the beast with a tiger stamp on it, so you already have the image of the tiger. And while the girl is watching her father play, she's ripping apart, petal by petal, a white rose, which is a very interesting image because we just saw a white rose in the courtship of Mr. Leon, and we saw lilies in the bloody chamber. So yet again, we have a white rose. And she thinks the beast must bathe himself in scent because the smell is so strong. And she wonders, what can he possibly smell like that needs so much camouflage? So we already have like this mysterious aspect of the beast. Like, what is it? What is beneath those clothes, beneath that scent? And look at how interesting this is. Those distant years before he imposed seclusion on himself, and he has an odd air of self imposed restraint, as if fighting a battle with himself to remain upright when he would far rather drop down on all fours. He wears a mask with a man's face painted most beautifully on it. Oh, yes, a beautiful face, but one with too much formal symmetry of feature to be entirely human. He wears a wig, too, and gloves of blonde kid that are yet so huge and clumsy they do not seem to cover hands, a growling impediment in his speech. Remember Vampirella and how beautiful she was? She was so beautiful, it was pitiful. And she wasn't human because she was too beautiful to be human. Here we have a beautiful face that's too beautiful to be human. And then when she is lost to the beast and she has to go with the beast, she gets a bunch of white roses and she gives her father one as a sign of forgiveness. But when she's breaking the stem, she prickles her finger and he has to deal with the fact that he's getting a rose with blood on it. So it's a forgiveness, but it's a bleeding one. So when she gets to the house, she sees that the beast chose not to buy luxury with its money, but solitude. The beast decided to live in an inhabited palace. So we have a point of loneliness and chosen loneliness. The beast doesn't want anyone to see it. And remember how that kind of also happened in the last story, the courtship of Mr. Leon. If you haven't watched the video, please go watch it. But we have like this comparison of the role of women and animals, right? So here that happens again. We have a beast that's always secluded because it's different from the rest of the world, because it's different from the world of men. And then she says, I will not smile. He cannot smile. So look at the difference. Although the beast is in a position of power, she has the power of choice, which the beast doesn't. So although the beast is there and it's not a man, but it's more connected to men than to women, she has a choice and she chooses not to smile. And then the beast says that he'll let the girl go if she strips, if the beast gets to see her naked. And she levels eyes with the agate yellow eyes behind the mask, and she sees that the beast is ashamed of its request. What could that be? Why would the beast be ashamed? Maybe because the existence of a human body causes the beast to be frightened. We've talked a little about A Room of One's Own last week, and this fear of men that women will take control, that women will take their power. So maybe we can think of that here. And then she laughs, and she laughs really loudly in a way that her nurse would tell her never to, but she did, and she does. So already the girl is setting her stakes of like, I will not behave as expected. Hell no. And then she assumes he wants pleasure, and she's like, as long as I have a blanket on my face, you can come into my room and you can me once, and then I will leave. And that causes the beast to shed a tear. So we see that it's not pleasure the beast is looking for. It's the sight of a human body, of a female body. So the girl is sent to her room and she gets a maid, which is actually a clockwork maid. It's like a doll. And the maid has a music box where her heart's supposed to be. And then the valet who brought the girl there says that nothing human lives there. So everything's clockwork, and the beast is not human because humanity might be too daring for him to deal with. And maybe that's why he cries. Maybe that's why he's scared of her. Because she does say that the beast was far more scared of her than she was of him. So the girl looks into the mirror and she doesn't see her reflection. She sees her father. And she wonders, oh, you bastard, are you already drinking your problems away? Are you doing that again? So we get a sight of what she thinks of her dad, and that her dad may not be the best father around. And then she blinks and she looks at the mirror and she sees herself so pale. She actually might need the rouge in the maid's toolbox. So the doll helps her, and then the doll kind of like falls asleep as if like its energy was done. So the girl is gifted diamond earrings that look like tears. She gets furious and she throws the earring away, which causes the doll to wake up and then go back to sleep. But an act of humanity, because it's rage, it's a human feeling that causes the girl to react like that, activates the doll. So humanity is something that the house is not really used to. So it's kind of like, whoa, what is it being a human or being a woman? So she goes back to the beast. The beast sheds another tear and puts his face on his paws. And that's the first time she catches a sight of the beast, of the paws, of the animal beneath the clothes. So she goes into her room and she hears the paw on her door, like a cat. You know when you lock your cat out of your room? I don't have a cat, but I'm assuming. And then they're like, to let them in. So the beast is doing that. It's an animal. It's a feline. And then her maid servants clicks and clacks and jangles into life, into the imitation of life. So look, the imitation of life. And then she has a very interesting quote on what men think of virgin women. Because she's looking around and she's like, so I'm not the same girl I was before, even though she's still a virgin. But she says, I knew they lived according to a different logic than I had done until my father abandoned me to the wild beasts by his human carelessness. His human carelessness. I was a young girl, a virgin, and therefore men denied me rationality, just as they denied to all those who were not exactly like themselves in all their unreason. So she is denying man reason by saying that they deny anything that's not a man, any sign of rationality. And then we have a first comparison of women and beasts in this story, when she says that most religious, all the best religions in the world, agree that women or beasts had souls. So here's a first connection between our protagonist and the beast. They don't have a soul. And then she says that if all she had was the imitation of life the patriarchal society or the society of man have provided her, isn't she just like the doll? Isn't she just an imitation of life? How can she live? How can she embrace her realness? And that's when we get to the conclusion of the story. The beast says, if you're not actually, the beast has a valet that speaks for him because the beast can talk. Okay, but back to it. The beast has the valet say, well, if you would... Well, if you will not be naked for the beast, then you shall see the beast naked. She's terrified. It's like, wow. So they go riding horses, and then the beast strips. And she's terrified to see the animal. Then the beast starts to put on his clothes back, and then she strips. So they have a moment of nakedness together. After that, she feels so free, because we're not used to being naked. You know, that's kind of weird. It's not human. That's a beast thing. And what is the danger of a woman's body? And then she goes back into the house, she looks into the mirror, and she sees her dad again, and he's so proud. And she thinks, maybe I should just send the doll back and stay there. So she goes into the beast's lair, and the beast starts to lick her and lick the skin off of her body so that her fur can come out. So she accepts that she's also an animal, the connection between womanhood and bestiality, the places that do not belong to men. And she embraces that. And then the beast purrs, and this purr makes the house crumble down. So all of the luxury, all of the mayonnaise in it just falls apart. Remember how in the courtship of Mr. Leon, we also had the beast destroy the house with like a roar? So here it is again. The bestiality and the embracing of it, the embracing of everything that's not accepted as human, destroys the system. So this was The Tiger's Bride. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, life is a sin.